My name is Susan Hamilton. I'm from Tropic Isles Elementary. These are the Singing Sea Stars, our premier group. We have a few songs that we're going to sing. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you so much.
I'm motivated, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do what I can 'cause I'm motivated,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. The school board meeting of April 4th, 2017 is now called to order. The time is 6 p.m. At this time, we do request that all electronic devices be turned off or be put in the silent mode. Also, we ask you to please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential, and also of the district's vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to the start of this evening's board meeting, we have been enjoying the Singing Sea Stars from Tropic Isles Elementary under the direction of Susan Hamilton. They are the premier chorus for the school, consisting of students in grades 3 through 5 who have successfully auditioned to become part of the chorus. This chorus provides its singers with an opportunity to come together to rehearse and perform a wide range of choral literature for children's choir, as well as learning proper singing and choral techniques. Students are also given the opportunity to perform in both school and community events, such as this one this evening. At this time, the Singing Stars will perform one more song for us. Thank you.
Kick it up a notch, push it to the top. You can do a lot when you kick it up a notch. Put it in high gear, keep your focus clear. Watch your goal appear when you put it in high gear. Kick it up, kick it up, kick it. Kick it up a notch. Kick it up, kick it up, kick it. Kick it up a notch. Just a little more energy can put you right there in the zone. Hard work and the concentration brings us for you to own. Kick it up a notch, push it to the top. You can do a lot when you kick it up a notch. Put it in high gear, keep your focus clear. Watch your goal appear when you put it in high gear. Kick it up, kick it up, kick it. Kick it up a notch. Kick it up, kick it up, kick it. Kick it up a notch.
Great job, Sea Stars. We'll take a brief pause to clear the performance area before we can continue with the meeting. Joel McKinney is this evening's student representative. He's an 8th grader at the Sanibel School. He loves to play basketball and plays the piano and saxophone. Joey and his father enjoy spending time together. One of their favorite activities is war reenacting. Welcome, Joey. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, one recognition, one acknowledgement, public comment, consent action items, which include 2 items under resolutions, 2 items under executive services, 5 items under academic services, 3 items under business services, 1 item under human resources, 6 items under operations, and 1 item under technology services. Also, 5 superintendent's recommendations and 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. LaRiviere and supported by Mr. Toiber. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. This evening, Mrs. Patrica will deliver the invocation, after which Dr. Kuckel will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Then, after the special presentations portion of the agenda, a brief recess will be called to allow those who wish to leave the auditorium an opportunity to do so. Please rise now for the invocation.
God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather today. May everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your help. We ask your guidance throughout this meeting, that all of our thoughts and actions would reflect your holy will, and that you would grant us the grace and love for you and our neighbors in perfection. Amen.
Introducing the cadet presenting the national colors tonight is Sergeant First Class Ellis Hunter from North Fort Myers High School's JROTC program. Sergeant First Class Hunter retired from the United States Army after 20 years of active service. Welcome.
Thank you. The national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight are presented by Cadet Colonel Sophia Putro of the North Fort Myers High School Junior ROTC program. She is a member of the Color Guard, drill, academic, and radar teams. Sophia has volunteered 1,200 hours in the community and American Legion Post 336. Take Pride in America National Parks Cleanup, North Fort Myers High School, and the Foundation for Lee County Schools. Sophia is the executive officer of the National Honor Society, secretary of the Thespian, and is a member of the Cape Coral Youth Council. She has a 4.47 weighted GPA and has been accepted at the University of Central Florida to study marine biology. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated.
I would like to invite Ms. Melissa Robery and Ms. Brandy Macchia, Directors of Curriculum and Staff Development, to please join me at the lectern. Each year, instructional employees and subject area groups select educators in their respective fields to represent them and be recognized as outstanding teachers. While the selection process varies for each group due to the diversity of their jobs, the results are the same. Each of the honorees has been selected by his or her peers for being an outstanding teacher. The school board and superintendent are pleased to recognize and congratulate this year's outstanding elementary subject area teachers. As your name is called, please come forward and remain for the group photo. Please hold your applause until all of the recipients have been announced. Ms. Roby and Ms. Mock, that's not Brandy.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Adkins, the School District of Lee County is fortunate to have many outstanding teachers and staff throughout the district. It is with great pride that we recognize the 2016-2017 Elementary Subject Area Teachers and Staff of the Year. Congratulations to these amazing and dedicated award recipients.
From Bayshore, and I'm sorry, I'm Erin Grunewald. I'm filling in for Brandy Macchia. From Bayshore Elementary School, Reading Teacher of the Year, Olivia Lefko. Also from Bayshore Elementary School, School Counselor of the Year, Karen Sneddon. Come right on up, congratulations. From Bonita Springs Elementary, English Language Arts Teacher of the Year, Alita Slichter. From Calusa Elementary ESE Teacher of the Year, Sherry Smith. From Cape Elementary Music Teacher of the Year, Robert Coe. From Diplomat Elementary, PE Teacher of the Year, Morgan Wright. From Edison Park, Instructional Technology Teacher of the Year, Linda O'Connell. From Health Services, School Nurse of the Year, Marcy Burns. From Heights Elementary, Science Teacher of the Year, Amy Lucas. From James Stevens International Academy, Math Teacher of the Year, Carrie Rathbun. From Lehigh Elementary, Visual Arts Teacher of the Year, Joni Sentner. From Mirror Lakes Elementary, Media Specialist of the Year, Heidi Larison. From Pelican Elementary, Social Studies Teacher of the Year, Jonna Gascon. From Psychological Services, the Psychologist of the Year is Diana Powers. From Ramus E. Page Elementary, Pre-Kindergarten Teacher of the Year, Julie Parks. From Student Services, School Social Worker of the Year, Christina Wilson. And last but certainly not least, from Veterans Park Elementary, Pre-K Exceptional Student Learning Teacher of the Year, Harold Price. Thank you very much.
character word for April is integrity, or adhering steadfastly to a personal sense of honorable and ethical behavior. The quote is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands, is moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy," from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The design you see displayed on the screens was created by Allison Ott, a 10th grade student at Estero High School.
Thank you, Joey. At this time, we will take a brief recess in case anybody does not want to stay for the business meeting and would like to leave now. And congratulations to all of the teachers of the year. We certainly appreciate your hard work.
He's doing good. He says he's feeling good. So.
Well, there were a lot of people who didn't want to stay for the business meeting.
We'll take it personal.
The next item on the agenda is public comment. Mr. Martin, please address the agenda item of public comment.
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted that to me before the meeting began, you'll be called in the order of the card submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the school board this evening, the school board chair, Ms. Fisher, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning public comment are posted at the back of the room. The board does not respond during public comment time to remarks made by speakers. At the conclusion of public comment time, the school board chair may address concerns raised by speakers or may assign responsibility to the superintendent to do so. Speakers are expected to act in a respectful manner. Those who fail to do so after being warned by the meeting chair may be required to leave the meeting. Disruptive attacks on individuals are prohibited. The time lapse for speakers is 3 minutes. Ms. Fisher, I have 7 cards this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there anyone on the right side of the auditorium who did not fill out a card but wishes to speak? Will you please stand up and state your name? Pardon me? Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody on the left side of the auditorium? Please state your name. And okay, Mr. Martin, please call the first card.
Mr. Don Ruane.
in Alva, and I'm a member of the Alva Inc. team that is working on securing the Tuckahoe Road Joel district property for high school MMM, which I call East Zone High School. It's easier. I wanted to talk about the issue of how to get parents more engaged with the schools. For approximately 50 years, the northeast quadrant of the East Zone had relatively easy access to a high school in the heart of Alva itself. But in 1972, that high school was closed as Riverdale High School opened, and the students were then asked to move further to the west by several miles to attend classes. Since then, in the past 45 years, the parents, the students, have borne up under the, responsibility for traveling some of the longest distances to get to a high school in the district. The taxpayers in that area have also been faithfully paying their taxes and helping to support high schools in other areas of the East Zone as well as around Lee County. To encourage more parental involvement, we would ask you to come towards us, meet us part way, and place the school in Alva. This would make it substantially easier for parents who travel home at night after working all day to attend school functions, for example, in the evening. It would encourage a lot more participation in other areas as well. So we hope that you would see it our way and support the Alva site for the next high school. Thank you.
Thank you,
Captain
sir.
William Nowers.
I'd like to talk to you again about your teaching of evolution in the public schools. There's a saying that those who don't read are no better than those who can't read. Reading is probably an unstated requirement for board members, but I would add that those who only read one side of a controversial issue are no better than those who don't read at all. They are both patsies or pawns to those more active members or the populists frequently led by Satan. Your biology books teach evolution as a fact, denying contrary discussion. The books contain 100 pages of evolution alone, along with mixing evolution throughout the book. None of the information in this book proves evolution. There's not a single alleged fact that doesn't start out with assumptions. How can intelligent people believe that life started from dead material just by chance, and then call this science while also claiming a basic understanding of science is that all life comes from existing life? There's only one religion this nation was founded on. It's Christianity. All other so-called religions are anti-Christian, and many are headed by Satan or the devil. All our moral issues in this nation are derived from the Bible. Satan has taken over the Democratic Party. Consider that nearly 100 years ago, William Jennings Bryan was 3 times the Democratic candidate for the president. He was a devout Christian. He was the attorney that on the Christian side of the famous Scopes monkey trial, and he opposed evolution. He was a strong believer in the Genesis account of creation. He could never get the support of the Democratic Party today. In every moral issue, the Democrats are now on the same side with Satan. If you don't believe in Satan, it doesn't matter. The results are the same. Satan has probably said, teach all the Christianity you want in your school or in your churches, but I will get your future generations through evolution in the public schools. I would urge all of you to Google Paul Harvey on the internet and print out his article, If I Were the Devil. This was done over 50 years ago and is very pertinent today. Please get the anti-Christian evolution out of our biology books and out of our schools. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Carafazone.
Martin. I'm Kerr Fazone, Dr. Kerr Fazone. I just want to introduce myself. I've met all of you individually, but I am the new Service Unit Director of the Island Coast FEA, taking over because the irreplaceable Donna Munsonard retired on Friday of last week. So I just wanted to do a quick introduction and say that I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Curtis Sheard.
Good evening, board members. My name is Curtis Sheard. As a resident of Lee County for the past 44 years, it was brought to my attention that the redistricting conversation by the board has been dropped. According to the website, the last census report for the redistricting was in 2010. I'm a resident of Dunbar, born and raised, still live there, and quite valuable in my community. I believe in giving back. With that being said, I have an issue with the board not addressing the redistricting or making it proportionate to the current residents within the Dunbar community. It's not a race issue; it's a fairness issue, and my eyes are open today. It's funny that we have a student representative. That's great, but let's have an adult representative that covers the real issues within our district. I have a problem with the way that we're handling things. It's more important that we build new schools, and because we're building 2 new schools, we know the population is increasing. Therefore, there should be representation. We have 2 members at large. If the redistricting is proper and fair, all boundaries should be represented. I have a problem with the way that the district is addressing the construction issues of the new Bonita School. We don't seem to have a focus on the $15 million overrun, and we don't seem to have a focus on what we need here in our community. But yet, with that $15 million, you have teachers whose salary could have been improved. You have students who could have benefited from the extra $15 million. The board is not doing its due diligence to represent the communities in which it serves. So I ask all of you to reevaluate that situation and take a good look inside and why you are not wanting to redistrict and look and revisit and give the voters a chance to vote on redistricting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Johns.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Atkins. Children are meant to be loved and protected. When you put your child on the school bus, you expect them to be safe and to feel safe in school and on the bus. When your child is injured in school and sits in class for an hour or more with a concussion, there's a problem that must be uncovered. My daughter's teacher nor administration made no attempt to notify me of my daughter's assault the morning of September 15th, 2016. My daughter texted me that she was hit in the head, 2 trips to the ER in 4 days, but administration still says no bullying or harassment occurred. Racial slurs were shouted to my daughter when she was being attacked. She had a concussion. I have $7,200 worth of medical bills and those 2 trips to the ER. My daughter has to see a neurologist. I don't have the money for the insurance for that. I have bills to pay that I'm not responsible for, and my credit has been ruined. And yet this boy still goes unpunished. He got a 15-minute lunch detention the day after, while I lost time from work several days. Here we are 6 months later, still nothing has been done. It has even gone to the point of other bullying and harassment that went on between January and March of a trio of girls bullying my daughter that are cadets in the ROTC program. She was their superior officer. March the 6th, we even had to go to court with some false charges by the ringleader of the bully crew. Fast forward to March the 8th, bully number 2 of that crew walked into the girls' locker room at Cape High and took pictures of my semi-nude daughter. Still, it went on deaf ears. March 10th, I walked into Cape High and removed my daughter from the high school. She is now homeschooled where she can be safe. And I'm here because I want some answers. And Dr. Atkins, I understand that when this incident occurred, that you had a video. Where is that video and what was on that video? And was that video turned on before, during, or after my daughter was injured? Can you tell me that?
The board doesn't respond during public comment to questions, ma'am. You can ask questions,
Nope,
maybe
okay.
addressed later.
Okay, that's fine. You know, this was a hate crime, so let's call it what it is. He said he hit my daughter because she supports the police. The classwork that day and 2 days prior, because they go into the class every other day, as you're aware of the staggered schedule, was about current events, and they were talking about Black Lives Matter. This boy attempted twice that morning to hit my daughter. The third time he succeeded. He slammed her in the back of the head with a big tall water bottle over a foot tall. And when he did that, her face was slammed into the desk, and that's how she got the concussion and the black eyes. It's time for someone to be held accountable. If the school district and the school is not going to be accountable, then maybe it's time that I band with the other parents of the other victims and we file a class action lawsuit. Can we get some answers then?
Thank you, Ms. Johns. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Kathy Mayo.
Good evening. I'm here representing myself, but also the National Organization for Women. This is an organization that's very concerned about your recent decision not to pursue redistricting. I think it's a mistake. Most of you who I voted for and who ran recently ran on the premise that you would support redistricting. There have been some changes through the Supreme Court, but this is still an important issue. We can put it off and put it off, but it still needs to be done. And now is the time to do it. Not 4 years from now, not 3 years from now. Let's do it now. I think that you all are better than this. Just because there's the threat that there might be a suit is not a good enough reason not to take the right steps. The word today is integrity. I call on you to incorporate that integrity into your decision making. Let's do the right thing. Thank you.
Anthony Thomas.
Good evening, members of the school board. I want to talk about a couple things. I first want to mention this redistricting thing. I was a little apprehensive about it, but I think I said at the last meeting, let's have a discussion. I don't see anything wrong with having a discussion. You all voted to start a process of having a discussion, having engagement in the community, and then you kind of short-circuit the process. You know, this board seems to do that sometime where you vote on something 1 minute and you come back and don't vote. You really lose credibility with the citizens when you do stuff like that. I wish you ought not do it. Let me just say about Keith Martin's memo or something to that effect. I talked with some folk at the ACLU, pretty good friends of mine. Who would have standing to sue? Would Pamela Vivier, whose district that it include, would she sue the district? Pam, would you sue the district? I don't think Pam would sue the district. So an average normal citizen, and we got 2 lawyers on the school board, the question before we even got to any lawsuit would be who would have legal standing to sue? Who would have harm to sue if you did redistricting? So I think that memo or whatever that Keith Martin did, with all due respect, I think is total malarkey. It doesn't mean much of nothing. Let me tell you about this issue that I'm concerned about. That is what's going on down at the Bonita School. You know, Melissa ran on a platform to have an auditor, inspector general. You all have a big business here. And we got some people on this board that are very fantastic in the world of finance. I don't understand how you can go $15 million over budget and nobody loses a job, nobody has a discussion. So this board voted in a public meeting, they took testimony and everything, and they said we're going to build a 2,000-seat school. But the superintendent unilaterally went and changed it down to 1,600 seats. So the question becomes, I asked Mary Fisher today, I love Mary Fisher. I said, Mary, tell me, you're the board chair. I looked through the minutes. I can't find anywhere where the board has voted to say, Mr. Superintendent, you all screwed up. There was a $15 million overture. We're going to authorize you guys to cut these many seats. Come on, man. We better than this. We need to get some answers here. If somebody screwed up like this, we need to go back. We need to look at this. And you all need to follow Robert's Rules of Order, and you need to be voting. I told Mary, you all have a tendency here for some reason to go by consensus. Oh, we just were shaking our heads and we got to consider. That's not how you run a billion-dollar business. You all know this, Kathleen. You've been in the finance world. You guys are board of directors of a major corporation here. You don't go by consensus and head nods and thumbs up and down, wiggling your fingers here. You go by a vote. And I think if you're going to go back and we're going to move forward with this school, you need to have a vote and a discussion on where this $15 million overrun happened, who's responsible for it, and if you're going to take out 400-some seats, let's have a discussion and a vote on it and give the superintendent that direction if you so desire. Thank you very much.
Those are all the cards, Ms. Fisher.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Long?
Good evening, board members. Allow me to reintroduce myself. It's been quite some time since I've been to a board meeting. I've been a resident of Lee County for 15 years and a mother as well. I'm a former GCF Child Protective Investigator and former Children's Advocacy Center Child Protection Team Case Coordinator who consulted with Department of Children and Families and the police in Lee County regarding child abuse and neglect investigations. I would not be here today unless I felt compelled to speak out on the sexual and physical abuse happening and increasing in our public schools. My attention was drawn to the case recently of Terry John's daughter, Peyton, from September 15th, 2016, and the unlawful, negligent, and inadequate handling of it. According to Principal Spiro of Cape High, no bullying or harassment occurred as the final outcome of the investigation. Well, I will tell you what did occur according to my prior training, work, and knowledge. Failure to protect her daughter by the teacher and the principal. An assault of racial hate crime was committed, according to the information that I received. All school personnel are mandated reporters of abuse and neglect per Chapter 39, as are police officers involved in the case. This failed to be reported to DCF as a child-on-child abuse, as well as her having a head injury, bruises on her head, which Chapter 39, 303-2 Florida statutes is mandatory referral to the Children's Advocacy Center Child Protection Team. Section 39-201 Florida statutes requires school personnel to call the child abuse state hotline, and from there, CPT being a third party and consulting with DCF and the police involved, she would have been interviewed, medically seen, and there would have been findings, recommendations, and referrals made in the case. No mention of cameras or film from the incident in class in which Ms. Johns had spoke of, and where she was struck, daunted, and threatened in front of a teacher and 16 students. The alleged assaulter was a black male football player, one of two in the same week that assaulted girls at the same school. Both were given minimum punishment and allowed to play in the next game. Black Lives Matter was mentioned by the alleged abuser of Ms. Johns, which should be deemed, in my opinion, as a terrorist organization due to racial attacks as well as promotion of police violence and resisting our sitting president. Should the district continue to blame the victims and punish them and critique, well, they deserved it because of what they're wearing, let alone not report these incidents and enable this violence, the blame and blood will be on your hands.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Your time is up, ma'am.
Bob Valenta.
I'm very concerned about all the instances of assault and sexual battery riddling our Lee County schools. I'm concerned for the students and the long-lasting effects these incidents will have on their lives. The only thing more concerning about the assaults being perpetrated is the response from administrators and this board to cover it up. It is more than apparent that sweeping it under the rug is the sole goal of this district. The message is loud and clear. You don't care if some students have to endure rape and assault in your schools, as long as we don't acknowledge that it exists. I mean, apparently, nothing will be done until a student dies from not dealing with the situation correctly. Oh wait, that's already happened. In your zeal to protect the district's image, you are blatantly putting the district and the taxpayer at risk of lawsuits, and worse, your actions or inactions directly encourage more abuse. You're actually causing the stain on the district. For if you stood up for the students, no one could fault you for doing your level best. But for some unknown reason, you consistently choose to take the low road. I can only assume that you are getting really bad legal advice from a less than adequate attorney. Investigations by the district never find any wrongdoing, especially by the staff. Maybe we need CSI Lee County to do the investigations. At least these kids will work harder to find the truth. We want announcements of firings. Let's make it clear that we will openly expose those who would do harm, and we will fire anyone who attempts to cover it up. It is unconscionable to do anything less. I realize there are 3 of you up there that no longer have a soul, but I'm speaking to the 4 of you that still might. Act. To do so otherwise puts the blood of these assaults directly on your soul. Industrial strength pool chlorine won't take this off. I understand none of you will comment on these assaults, citing ongoing investigation. Well, here's something that you can comment on, if you have the intestinal fortitude. What are each and every one of you going to do to stop this madness in the future? Might I make a suggestion? Stop worrying about the consequences of the district's image and start worrying about federal investigations and criminal charges of aiding and abetting. Start worrying about the abuse on our students and the bullying of the parents who are brave enough to step forward and speak out. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Otherwise, you are just as guilty as the perpetrators and will be held personally liable.
Jacqueline Perez.
Good evening, Board. At the conclusion of the last meeting, I learned from an email sent by your attorney that you were not provided the March 21st, 2017 memorandum from the Washington, D.C. lawyer the Board retained to advise them on redistricting. The legal advice states 2 choices with regard to a redistricting plan, and I quote, 1, to fail to adopt it, meaning the NAACP proposal, risks a potential legal challenge alleging a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It would seem advisable for the Board not to focus narrowly on the NAACP plan, but to engage in its own comprehensive process. It suggests that the plan falls short of specifying statistics that I can assure you takes all of 4 minutes on the Supervisor of Election website to substantiate. Nowhere in the multiple letters of legal advice does it indicate that the attorney was apprised that there has never been a board member of color, nor is the attorney aware that the minority candidate who ran at large won in both the Tice, mostly Hispanic, and Dunbar area, mostly African American precincts. Most importantly, the attorney did not suggest to the board, refuse to redistrict, in quotes. The NAACP has never said it's my way or the highway. At all times, they have been willing to fashion a redistricting plan with all of you, but have been rebuffed several times. So I want an explanation in your comments why you would decide that a whole group of people should be treated like second-class citizens for another minute. There's also another concern I have, that with the memorandum that was sent to the district to Keith Martin from Hogo and Lavelle stated privileged and confidential. And all of you received information from Martin, your attorney, stating that you could not speak to the public or the media. That is a violation of sunshine laws that you all partook in. You are not privileged to any confidential conversations between yourselves that we have no access to unless you're in litigation, and you're not in litigation right now. So all of you partook in a sunshine violation. You have to look at what you're doing and check the laws. You're not following the recommendations of what the laws state. So please, take a look at what you're doing, and Mr. Martin, try reading the sunshine laws.
Angie Salander.
Hi, it's been a while, but I've been watching. I will say I've been watching the board meetings, and I have been disappointed about how many board meetings at the end nobody has any comments. These people take time out of their lives, from their family, their children, everything. Even if you just said, thanks for coming out, we'll consider it, we'll think about it, anything, just something, a little cordial at least, so we know we're not wasting our time. And I also noticed there's a lot of people who no longer come here. Maybe they're thinking they're no longer heard. And we come here to try and make it better for our children and even for our teachers and everybody. There's a couple things I want to address. The testing. My son opted out of the FSA writing. He had to sit there for 90 minutes, sit and stare. I don't know. I was told that came down from the state. I actually would like to see that in writing if it's possible. But for our children to have to sit there for 90 minutes and sit and stare at a wall, no head down, no sleeping, nothing. That's ridiculous. He came home from school and said, Mom, I'm not doing that again. I refuse to go to school if they make me do that again. Unfortunately, I started a new position. I did not have the luxury of taking him to school, taking him out for that time, and bringing him back. And there are a lot of parents who don't get that luxury. So if we can do something in the future, I would appreciate it. This has been an ongoing issue. Time and time again, we brought it up time and time again. I don't know why every year we have to go through it. Let's come up with a policy and follow it universally. The other thing is, I'm quite flabbergasted about what's going on in our schools. I have a 6th grader, and I am scared to death by the time he hits high school. I'm reading every day there's a rape, there's bullying, there's all kinds of things going on. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. When the Perez came up here and told us about Gabby, I stood here and I said, and you can look back at the tapes, you know what? There's a tragedy that's going to happen, and it did. How many more tragedies do we need before somebody does something? We have to protect our kids. Our kids should not be scared to go to school. And as adults, you know what? I don't care. If I was a teacher, I don't care if it cost my job. I would stand up with that, for that student, hands down. I would do everything I did to protect that student, because you know what? You never know when it's going to be your kid. And that's the truth of the matter. Our kids deserve an education. Our kids deserve to be protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Atkins, would you address the issue of the Bonita cost overrun, please?
Yeah, 2 items. First of all, we had identified $15 million in cost overruns with the original building as it was presented. I asked the team to go back and look at the way to reduce those costs, which the team has done, so that that puts the cost right at the amount that the board approved. So we're not looking at spending $15 million over what the board approved at all. We're looking at spending what the board originally approved. In addition to that, we looked at the requirements of that particular area, the South Zone, for student stations. With a 1,600 student station facility, we should be good through 2028. Finally, we have ordered an audit of this construction process, and Mr. Mora is in the process of hiring somebody right now to do that. That way we will look thoroughly at the books. The frustrating part is that we have said this again and again. We endeavor to be transparent. That's what we're going to be. I understand not everybody trusts, but by the time we're done, you will see. You know, we are still committed to build a world-class facility at the Bonita site. I think that the 1,600 station facility is probably a better solution than the 2,000. Now, in the East Zone, you know, the Gateway or the Joel and Tuckahoe site, 2,000 is appropriate because that is where the growth is looking to be in the future. We have put together, I think, what we think is a more predictive algorithm for predicting student stations than had been used when the original need had been projected. And that's been something that's been done in the last 2 years. So I think, again, you're trying to make the best use of taxpayer dollars. 1,600 is the best use in this case. And again, $15 million of cost overrun if the original facility had been built, but the team worked really hard to use value engineering to reduce the size of that particular facility. And in addition to that, you're looking at some of the things that we would like to add back by doing additional value engineering, getting additional cost savings out of that building, and then being able to buy back some of those options. So at the end, I think you're going to get not only a better product, but you're also going to get more value on taxpayer dollars. This is something that we have never done before in Lee County, to vet a process to the degree that we have vetted this one, and then to go back and literally hire a firm to come back and look at every single dollar, that every single thing that's being spent on that facility, again, has never been done. But I think in the future not only makes this a better project, but also makes MMM a better project, the next elementary school a better project, and overall how we do business in the district will be better than it ever has been before. Yes, we took a hard knock on this one. When it comes for accountability, I think we've been very clear about that. I think that the fact that the district brought this out in the open is important to take note.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for coming and sharing their thoughts. And I'm going to ask the superintendent and the board attorney to engage in conversations with us, again, regarding the safety and redistricting, but I have no other comments about that at this moment. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of action items in the agenda under consent. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business and tabled items portion of the agenda? Mrs. Morgan.
I have none.
Dr. Cuckle.
None.
Mrs. LaRiviere.
None.
Mr. Toiber.
I don't have any.
Ms. Patrica.
No polls.
Mrs. Giovanelli.
I have one.
You have one, and can you give me the
It's 6 SV 15-0028-13. Just want to have a conversation.
What's the number on the
number on the agenda, honey?
Item number 6B.
6B.
Okay.
That's a superintendent's recommendation.
Consent agenda.
Okay, okay, all right, and I have none. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent item actions?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Patrica, seconded by Toiber. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Included in the approval of the consent items on the agenda are the resolutions proclaiming April 2017 as National Autism Awareness Month, as well as School Library Month. Dr. Atkins, please introduce any administrators in attendance with new assignments that were just improved on the consent agenda.
It is my pleasure to introduce Amy Burke. Amy's moving from Exceptional Student Education Learning Resource Specialist to Coordinator in ESE.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to superintendent's recommendations. State your first recommendation, Dr. Atkins, please.
First recommendation, I recommend board approval for the one-time increase of $500,000 for the piggyback of San Diego Unified School District bid for the purchase of classroom and other furniture awarded to multiple vendors for the period of April 4th, 2017 through December 31st, 2017 for a total estimated annual expenditure not to exceed $800,000 pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by Dr. Cuckle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Patrica. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify.
is that the one I had discussed? Yeah, thank you.
Wanted.
Thank you, Pam.
I'm just trying to understand, I just wanted to understand this because we, initially it was 300, right, Dr. Atkins, or 300, now we're going to 800, so it's an additional 500. Is that for portables? So that's the only.
Classroom furniture.
Just trying to understand.
Yes, it is temporary classrooms.
That's what I thought.
I'm sorry, I thought I had it in my backup notes, but I do not. I can get you that information.
Yeah, I mean, because my only thing is that the estimate was 300, now it's 800. That's like a big difference for me. I mean, when I go shopping, I have a budget, and if I go over my budget, I get in trouble. It's just way over budget.
If you can get me those before a board meeting, I can certainly run them down and make sure that we have them.
Okay.
Okay. What I do have here, this piggyback was board approved on March 7th for $300,000. At the time the agenda was submitted, the district did not have a finalized selection of the vendors for this large aggregate purchase. Since then, Verco had been selected to support the purchase, and their steepest discount is offered in this contract. One-time increase of $500,000 is recommended for the period of April 4th, 2017 through December 31st, 2017 for a not-to-exceed expenditure of $800,000. It's one of several bids used by the district to purchase furniture. So that's the information I have.
They were, I believe,
The bid, yeah.
Mr. Teuber.
I believe it was the Bonita temporary schools, but it's also, there's 3 refurbs going on in the elementaries that are being done as well. And I think, I mean, it's a piggyback
Right.
contract, so it's whatever amount we need. It's just we needed more than what was stated, so.
Right.
And the only reason why I bring
get
it
the
up
best price.
is because the Bonita project has been a bit, has had a lot of stigma, and I'm trying to avoid that and bring that to everyone's attention, that we're trying to do our best with everyone's money, so that's all. I'm just want to make sure.
Thank you. Mrs. LaRiviere.
I was just going to concur with Mr. Teuber. If I remember correctly, it's also, I am under the impression that it's not just for those portables, that it's for other furniture needs that we have at this time.
That's correct.
So it is not money that's more money for the Bonita Schools temporary portables, but it's for our needs that we have for other schools so they can take advantage of the pricing.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Next item, Dr. Atkins.
I recommend board approval to piggyback U.S. General Services Administration Carrier Corporation for HVAC chiller equipment services and parts awarded to Carrier Corporation and Carrier Enterprises for a period of May 3rd, 2017 through May 2nd, 2018, and an estimated expenditure of $1 million with an option to cancel if deemed in the best interest of the district. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Teuber,
Second.
second by Ms. Patrica. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Next recommendation.
I recommend board approval to renew the bid for installation of air conditioning, mini split, and split systems on a as-needed basis for the Maintenance Services Department to Country Cooling and Heating, Inc., Nemeth Air Conditioning, Southwest Heating and Cooling, and Wenco, Inc. for the first renewal period of April 22nd, 2017 through April 21st, 2018, at an estimated annual expenditure of $600,000 pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Kuckel, seconded by Mrs. Giovanelli. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Next recommendation, Dr. Atkins.
I recommend board approval of the North Fort Myers Academy of the Arts chiller plant and gym HVAC upgrades project in the amount of $2,500,000. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Is there a motion to approve, board members?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. LaRiviere,
Second.
second by Mrs. Giovanelli. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Item F.
I recommend board approval to award the contract for local and long-distance telephone services to CenturyLink Communications LLC for a period of April 4, 2017 through April 3, 2022 upon written agreement of the vendor and the district at an estimated expenditure for the first year not to exceed $700,000. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all documents.
Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Teuber,
Second.
second by Mrs. Giovanelli. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Next on the agenda are board members' comments or reports. Mrs. Morgan.
I have none for this evening, thank you.
I have none.
Dr. Cuckle. Mrs. LaRiviere.
Just a couple of things come to my mind that I would like to respond to, and maybe some questions. With regard to the anticipated $15 million over budget aspect, that was thoroughly discussed during the March 7th briefing meeting, and also with us individually as a board members to know exactly what happened. If you were not able to be here at the briefing meeting on March 7th, I encourage you to go in and watch the video where all of that was fully explained and we went through the process. So there was discussion amongst the board. Had the board requested any other action, we would have done so, but staff and Dr. Atkins were able to take care of that overrun, projected overrun, and bring it into alignment with what we had voted on. The other aspect too, I do agree that 2,000 seat for Bonita High we would have most likely gone with 400 actually more like 500 seats that probably would never have been utilized for quite some time. So the expense of going ahead and saved us the expense of adding a third story. Let's see, there were another. Dr. Faison, is that Kurt Faison? Welcome. I look forward to getting to know you, and thank you for introducing yourself this evening. And with regards to the incident that Ms. Johns brought up, I don't know if you are able to discuss that, Dr. Atkins, or not, to shed, but if possible, I'm sure that would be appreciated. And we are all here. We're all here to protect the kids. And I have to say that I don't know all of the instances, and I'm not there in all of the instances. But if you want to ask me if I am here to protect the kids and I'm out there to go after whatever we need to for the kids, I am. But there are some aspects that are not under the purview of us as a board. They're under the purview of the Sheriff's Department and investigative pieces, and those pieces then will come to us as a board. But we have to stay back. Sometimes we wish we could get in the midst of things, but we can't. I greatly resent the assumption that any of us do not care about the protection of all of the students. And I will go ahead and share that as information was shared with Lehigh and with people within the community of Alva regarding the projected NAACP plan, some people did not realize, many of the people within the population of Lehigh, there was a great deal of concern regarding a full understanding of exactly the numbers that exist and are constantly changing within Lehigh. And that there were concerns with regarding the fact of there would be disproportionate numbers should that redistricting occur the way it had presented. So people within the communities really preferred that we wait till the 2020 census, so we're dealing with something that's a little more accurate than looking back at 2010 and what may be on the voter registration aspect. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that those lines are drawn not based on the number of voters within an area, but the number of people in the population. Am I correct? So there are a lot of things to be considered, and so in order for it to be done fairly, this is one board member that believed that whatever needs to happen, it needs to wait until the 2020 census. So we're working with numbers that are a little more in alignment. Again, they're not going to be perfect because we are constantly changing. And that's all.
Thank you, Mrs. LaRiviere. Mr. Toiber?
I have no comments.
Okay, Mrs. Patrica.
Mr. Fazzone, welcome. You have giant shoes to fill, but I'm also quite confident that you will be able to fill them. The conversations that I've had with you have been excellent in the sense that we have shared thoughts openly, and there are times we agree to disagree, but I've learned a lot from you already, and I look forward to working with you going forward. So welcome. Three school things. Mr. Haybauer, did I say that name correctly? Norm Haybauer from Estero High School. Am I saying that name incorrectly? Art teacher. Yes, the digital art teacher. I went for the Digital Character Design Contest Award at Estero High School. Last month's winner was Courage, I believe. That man is unbelievable. His commitment to our students is beyond anything I've seen before. He had tears in his eyes because his student won, and his student wins every month. It was really amazing, and
We have had a few at Riverdale, I'm just saying.
well, it wasn't the first time a student had won, is my point, and it wasn't the same student. Anyways, he's amazing, and Principal Simmons, is that?
Clayton Simmons, yeah.
Thank you. Principal Simmons has incredible pride in his staff and in the programs that he has over there. That's the first thing. Second thing is Rock of Ages at North Fort Myers High School. Holy cow. I am here to tell you that the arts are alive and well in Lee County. This was not the kind of high school musical that I went to when I was a kid. This was unbelievable. At least 75 kids, all dancing in step, all singing in tune. Mrs. Whitener, I believe, is the drama director, and my husband and I walked away from it, and I said to him, "This is what I get to do for my job." It was really, really amazing. Kudos to everybody involved, students, staff, everybody should be very proud. And finally, I went to all day long PLCs at River Hall Elementary. PLCs are professional learning communities where teachers across the grade level get together to meet and brainstorm about curriculum, ways that they're teaching that are effective, ways that they're teaching that are ineffective. They go through data and look for trends in areas where students aren't necessarily being proficient in certain standards and that kind of thing. Anyways, it was a whole day, and I was blown away by the teachers. Their level of knowledge is incredible to me. I mean, this isn't what I do. I mean, I teach at FGCU, but I don't teach standards the way they do K through 12. And just to see their level of knowledge and commitment to our students and the brainstorming and their dedication, for every single PLC, I wrote the note, ways to make learning fun. K through 5 education in this district is fun. Kids are having fun K through 5. That has been my experience across the board. In addition to that, at the end, I was given 20 minutes, and I asked them, one of our goals for Vision 2020 is to improve recruitment and retention of effective and highly effective employees. And I asked, how can we do that? What is it about your job that makes you maybe not want to be here sometimes? And I'm happy to say that reflecting back on today's workshop, everything that Dr. Pruitt addressed was covered in almost all of the comments that I got from teachers. So obviously, River Hall is a representation of the larger teacher population that we have and the polling that she's done and the conversations that she's had with teachers. We're doing a lot of good things in this district, and I think that that needs to be acknowledged as well. Thank you.
Mrs., no, you have none? Okay. Joey, do you have any comments this evening?
No, ma'am.
None at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, we appreciate you being here
Thank you for having
and
me.
representing your school and the students of Lee County. And we also appreciate you taking your time to be a member of the Student Advisory Committee. Thank you. I just have a few other comments. Dr. Fazone, welcome, and we do look forward to working with you and maintaining a very collaborative relationship. I would like to invite people in the public to visit our schools, any school, and take a tour and see what's really going on every day, 99.9% of the time. Because there are wonderful things happening, and kids are learning, and kids are safe, and we are doing everything we can to ensure that. I'm looking forward to Friday evening's Golden Apple celebration, when teachers will be recognized, and they will be representing all of their peers who work hard every day to make great things happen in this district. I have a brief legislative update regarding state accountability, otherwise known as testing. Okay, Senate Bill 926. Significant amendments were made in yesterday's Senate Education Committee, and the bill now makes VAM, the value-added model for teachers, optional, eliminates 4 statewide assessments, civics, U.S. history, geometry, and algebra 2, and adds provisions for pencil and paper testing, amongst other changes. So we will stay tuned to watch the progress and see what happens in the House. Regarding the House and Senate budget proposals, the House has proposed a 0.27% increase in the FEFP, or per student funding, and the Senate has proposed an approximate 2.9 increase. Obviously, we are hopeful that we can go with the Senate proposal, but are realistic and believe that perhaps the number will be somewhere in between. Our own Grow Your Own bill, House Bill 4065, has made it into the preliminary budget in the Senate, but was not in the House preliminary budget, even though a House member was the sponsor. We are hopeful that it will still be added in conference when the final budget is proposed. And, we continue to monitor bills regarding immigration enforcement, recess, union membership, teacher bonuses, instruction, and instructional materials, among other bills. And with that, I'll look towards Mr. Martin for comments.
Yes, Ms. Fisher, board members, just one issue I wanted to address briefly, and you heard some comments this evening with respect to the Sunshine Law. I'd just like to address those if I could.
Please.
The statements were made with respect to legal memorandum provided, excuse me, to the school board by Ms. Sneed from Hogan Lovells. Of course, as you're aware, that legal memorandum was provided to you before the school board meeting. Yes, it is marked privileged and confidential. That's a function of the fact that Ms. Sneed is not a Florida attorney. She practices in Washington, D.C. Yes, the document is public record because the school board is not in litigation with respect to that matter. I have not provided any different advice. I'm aware of one request from the public for that document, and it was provided. Yes, I did have individual meetings with you. I did not have a meeting with the board. There was no private client-attorney session with respect to this matter. Such a meeting cannot be held unless the board is in litigation with respect to that matter, and then only for specific purposes. But I did have individual meetings with you at which I provided verbal advice. That's not a meeting subject to the Sunshine Law. It was not a meeting of the board. It was an individual discussion with a single board member, one at a time. Yes, I did advise, make the request that you not share my legal advice publicly until I provided it at the school board meeting. That does not implicate the Sunshine Law in any manner. There's no requirement in the Sunshine Law that you share individual legal advice that you received from your counsel. Ms. Fisher, you didn't mention redistricting. With respect to redistricting, I've provided all the advice. I don't really have any additional advice at this point to provide to the board. If there are any particular questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Board members, any particular questions? No, thank you.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Dr. Atkins.
Just a couple things. First of all, let me follow up on the furniture request. Verco was awarded the bid and the steepest discount of this contract to furnish the Estero portables and 3 elementary schools. So that's what that was. Again, we get those ahead of time. We usually can chase those down and answer questions, and I'd be happy to bring them up in or out of the sunshine. Doesn't matter to me. But anyway, they were able to get that to me and email it to me. So there you go. As it related to the student situation, you know, the first and foremost, ever since I came into this position, you know, student safety is our highest priority. And to say that it's not just simply is just simply not true.
Exactly.
You know, we look at these situations, this particular one they brought to my attention prior to last board meeting. And if you look at all the facts as presented, what we heard this evening does not align with what I saw as it relates to that investigation. Now, I'm not going to discuss it here. It's inappropriate. And I'm not discussing it with members of this audience, because that's not appropriate. A parent can contact Mr. Deming and have that discussion there. But the frustrating piece is that one side gets presented. Mm-hmm. And we work really hard to uncover the truth and act upon the truth. And to say that we cover up is simply inaccurate and false. And I go back to the Bonita Springs High School. That's an example of where this staff didn't try to hide, didn't try to go back and cover up, but brought it out into the public and exposed a mistake, a huge mistake, in terms of the estimation of the cost of that facility. And then what we're doing to take steps to correct that, such as addressing ways to value engineer that particular site to get it down to the figure that was approved here, to go raise revenue to add back, to then move forward and look at how can we improve, and to go out and hire somebody, which is going to be a significant cost, but it's worth that cost because it exposes any flaws in our system so that we can make corrections. And people have to be accountable for their actions. And I think if you go back and look at, you know, our track record recently, you're going to see that. So, you know, when it comes to Bonita Springs High School and other things like this, stay tuned, because the objective is always to be transparent. And I understand the doubters, and I get it, but know that that is absolutely the goal of this district. And as it relates to these student situations, again, once the truth is exposed, then I think everyone will be comfortable with the facts. And, you know, I welcome any opportunity that I can do that, but understanding whenever you're dealing with student situations, you have to deal with, I can't sit here and present the quote other side of this particular issue. But when you sit in this chair, you know typically not just this side and that side, but everything in the middle. And unfortunately, that's not what gets heard. And That's all my comments this evening.
Thank you for those comments, Dr. Atkins. On Tuesday, April 18th, there is a school board briefing meeting at 2 p.m., as well as a school board action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this board, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Teuber, second by Dr. Kuckel, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.